Welcome back to the Mindcrack server! Guess what? We are not on the Mindcrack server. However, you may have heard that a very special moment is approaching us in just a few days. And that moment is that the map for the Mindcrack server is getting reset with patch 1.6. We are moving from Season 3 of the Mindcrack server to Season 4. Season 1 of Mindcrack was good single-player Let's Play. Season 2 was the first map in multiplayer, the first SMP map. And Season 3 is the one I've taken part in for 120-some episodes for the past year and a half. I think it's been over a year. I don't know exactly how long. But it's been a while. And the map is finally getting reset. And I thought it would be appropriate to do a tour of all the things I've made. We did a group tour, but I'd like to talk about things I've made in a little bit greater depth. And I wanted to talk about the lens, probably the biggest and most complex thing I've ever made. And I started thinking about it, and I realized in order to do that properly, we need to go deeper. We need to go back further in time. So old subscribers, people who have been around a while, might recognize this place. This is not the Mindcrack server. This is Cleveland. Cleveland. Strange name for a planet. So if you don't recognize it, and it's okay if you don't. I don't expect many of you to. This was a map that was part of my Life on Pagoda series, my first multiplayer series, way back when. And the purpose of this map, can't show that yet, we'll get to that. The purpose of this map was that villages had just been added to the game, and we wanted to explore one without traveling thousands of blocks to a new biome. Was it also mine shafts and strongholds had been added, something like that. There was new features being added we wanted to look at. And so I came up with a scenario where we traveled interdimensionally on these mine carts here. Maybe I'll include a clip here just so you know what I'm talking about. And it was kind of based on Back to the Future, where we broke the dimensional barrier here and traveled to a new area. And this is where the sort of dimensional highway sort of breaks up, possibly travels to another dimension that we never got to. But it was all just sort of a ruse to play in a new map for a little while, to have some fun. And that's what we did. And I left some signs here. I did all of that, and I put some signs here. And I didn't tell the other people playing anything at all about what was going on, and basically just to record their unique reactions, their honest reactions. Give me the code key, Howard. So this whole place is kind of a thinly veiled reference, or it has a lot of references to the movie Howard the Duck. Anyway, the reason I came here is because I wanted to talk about the sort of long-term iterative process of designing, and how things you think of and tendencies you come up with in building tend to repeat themselves and refine themselves over time. So this is Brundle Tower, by the way. This was a house that was built completely spontaneously with mushrooms, using bone meal, and filled in the spaces with wood. And by the way, when I did the prank on Good with Team Canada and put the mushrooms in the walls, this is exactly what I was thinking of. And it's called Brundle Tower because, well, it was Brundle House. Let me show you over here. First it was Brundle House because the front of it looked like a fly's face. Eye there, and then the proboscis right there. And it just sort of kept growing, so it became Brundle Tower. Anyway, we needed a mine shaft to get some materials. Do we have any food here? I haven't been in this map in I don't even know how long. You can tell that none of my items were enchanted because there wasn't enchanting back then. I actually cheated myself in some ender pearls just so I can warp around a little bit. Well, we needed a mine shaft, and we had some TNT from the sand and from all the creepers we'd killed. So we blew a hole straight down, and I had the idea of dropping water straight down and using it as a way to travel quickly down into the mine and to stop yourself by getting into the water. Does this look familiar at all? Because I've used this before, or I've used it since, I should say. This was the first time I used this specific thing, this specific instance of it. I used it in the lens. And so I wanted to come back here to talk about how things like this carry over into new designs. Because we're going to talk about the lens in a little bit, but we're also going to talk about what's next. And you might notice some other things here. Let me see. Oh yeah, you see this? You see these patterns of doorways? Look familiar? Look familiar? Okay, so let's go deeper. Let's go back farther. So, do you recognize this place? Does this look familiar? It might. This is the house I first built on YouTube. This was my first Let's Play, Survival Island. And this is the completed version for my 10,000 subscribers special. The amount I actually got done in the normal Let's Play was basically just this and the start of a water elevator right here, which is what this used to be, but I ended up converting it into a ladder and a water drop shaft because water elevators where you fly upwards in a boat, basically. You would get in a boat here, hit the water, and it would zoom you upwards until you were no longer underwater, technically. Those type of water elevators got removed from the game. But you can see here, I'm also using a vertical transportation element, which in this case is a ladder, but I'm using the water drop shaft again. And this is actually, I think this took place after Cleveland. I don't exactly remember this particular water shaft, but before Cleveland, I was using water elevators to get up and down rapidly. I always liked the idea of traveling up and down quickly. And you might notice some certain geometric shapes that look slightly reminiscent of certain things you might see on the Mindcrack server, the lens, the lava arena, certain tendencies of building. I actually think that the water drop shaft on Survival Island that I built for this particular video, for the 10,000 subscriber video, I think this one is superior to the one in the lens because it's easy to get on, it's easy to get off. So if you want to, here, let's actually go up to the top so I can show you what I'm talking about. But if you want to go get on the, or jump into the water shaft, there's a little launching point, like right there. And here you actually jump down like this because I had to keep the water from flowing out. But you can get in, and this one goes all the way down on this side. And if you want to get out, you can get out like that, and it goes right up to the water. If you want to get out of the water shaft on a certain floor on the lens, you've got to sort of jump and take some falling damage, and it makes that really annoying ankle-breaking sound that it just irritates me so much. So actually, I'm thinking of using something like this in the new house, or maybe some sort of hybrid between this and that one. And there's not really any mine shafts here because I cleared the dumb thing completely out. But we're talking about things that sort of echo from build to build. But I think we can go deeper. Let's go even deeper. Let's go. Give it a squeeze. No, don't give it a squeeze. Let's go deeper. This is a video that has not been on my channel for over 2 years. I had to take it down. It was one of the first things I uploaded, and it had copyrighted music before I understood what you could do and couldn't do on YouTube. But anyway, look right here. You see that? Do those mines look familiar? I bet they do, because it's very similar to the ones I'm using now. This was one of the first worlds I built, and this is the mine shaft and the water elevator that leads up to the surface of my first world. and above that was a tower that went up to basically the build limit at the time. So there were certain themes that run through everything I've made that when I look back, I can sort of draw parallels through. There's a vertical transportation system. There's an extreme verticality. There's an overall design motif, I guess you could say, or some sort of vision for what the overall design. And I try to incorporate the farms and the storage and the furnaces and all the different functions in Minecraft into one thing and make it all make sense into one system. So, with a little bit of the history lesson over, let's head to Mindcrack and take a look at some things I've made. So, here we are, actually on the Mindcrack server. No longer on old maps. So, I've only built a few things that aren't in my little area. They're still around. I made a bunch of pranks, but most of those were taken down, unfortunately. But this guy was left up. This is one of the most recent things I made. I made this with Etho and Beef as part of a prank on Good for never finishing his spawn house. I'm extremely proud of it. I think it was... I think it's one of the best things I've ever made. And it was just I don't know, just like magic happened when we got together to make this thing. I brought a bunch of crazy blocks and materials. They brought some things too. And we just went kind of crazy for about 4 hours to build this thing in one night. One night this thing took. One episode of one video. And it's pretty freaking amazing. If you're interested in watching it, or watching the video, you can probably find it on my channel or on theirs. But I don't want to spend too much time here. Let's head over to Goodland briefly. And then we'll move on. I just want to look at the lava arena briefly one more time. The lava arena never really got played because it was laggy, which I guess I kind of expected. I knew it would be laggy, but it was an experiment. It's something an idea I had that I wanted to try out, and it ended up being successful. It did exactly what I wanted it to. And part of the 1.5 redstone update, it actually, the redstone got broken a bit. We can go take a look at it. It's right there. ZLA, Zistonian Lava Arena. Looks pretty cool. I like the overall design of it. It looks kind of like looks like something you would find at a carnival, doesn't it? Like there would be carnies around and weird ring tosses and other strange things and candy corn and elephant ears. And the whole idea is to open a piston and let lava flow through and then close the piston so that only the little flake falls. And you would have to fight each other with man pants and signs. And the idea basically is to knock the other people into lava. And if you get set on fire, you would come jump in the water. And this right here was supposed to go on a loop so that what happens right here happens continually every few seconds. But because of the redstone update, the timer got broken. So these would be falling several at a time. And the water would be falling too, so if you got set on fire, you could extinguish yourself. Let's go look at the wiring very briefly. I'll show you what broke. One of the things that the 1.5 update did is it broke this guy, which was one of the old common T flip-flops, where if you send a one-tick pulse to a piston, it would extend the cobblestone and leave it there. So it would allow power to go through here, and this was the timer that would repeat that stuff from happening up there. So now what happens is it just extends it and lets power go through and then pulls back instead of staying out there and letting basically this run around in a circle. And I guess it actually runs around the other direction. It goes around like this. But you see what I mean. But that's what broke. I could have fixed it, but we never really used it. There's some redstone there. I could have used that. All right, let's move on. Here it comes. Getting a little lag. Oh, there's a cart on the line. No wonder. This is the first prank. This took me all night to do. And it's my face on a rainbow, and I think it's beautiful. And apparently so did Paws, because he never changed it. Okay, this is annoying. We're gonna have to do something about this. Okay. Boink, boink, boink. But, yep, here it is, the first brink. And here we have another little tiny house I made. This is B00's village outside his arena, which is right over there. You can see it, gigantic, monstrous thing. And I built this after he asked for people on the server to customize all these little houses he made. He made like a zillion of these things, and they're all just a little bit different. And he asked people to customize it. This is the one I made. It's nether themed, if you can't tell. Zistau's Desert Residence. It's got an ender chest. Normal chest with I left a sign there. Ah, I'm so clever. No coal left. And a crafting bench. Someone left the doors open, though. Jerks? Probably villagers, maybe. And this is a rail line I built that goes to this, which is a little house in the nether, which connects to the wither skeleton farming platforms way down there. And there's ice under here, under these slabs, so you can run super fast. This is the wither spawning pads, or wither skeleton spawning pads that Etho built that we all use to farm wither skulls, to kill withers. This was a project that never got finished because it was just too time consuming, where I wanted to cover all the surfaces around that with lava. Never happened. But back here is just a little house that has basically all the amenities you would need. It's got enchanting, it's got anvils, it's got potion-y stuff, it's got an ender chest, it's got a bunch of furnaces, it's got storage if you need it. Just basically enough, and it's got food. Mushroom soup, basically. Oh, look at all this! Oh my god! I wonder how much stuff is actually left here. But this is something I built just as a diversion from my main projects. Lots of potions of fire resistance, some lava buckets. Whatever. Okay, let's move on. This guy right here, this is Zistau's Swamp Outpost. I built this little house here when I decided I needed some clay, and the clay was for bricks. The bricks were for my village, which we'll get to eventually. I came out to this swamp, which no one had been to harvest clay, and I built a house out of clay. Kind of looks like a pagoda. I had an idea to extend it upwards, but yet again, another thing I never had time for and never developed. And here we are, finally, to where I spent the bulk of my time, into my area of the map. So that's my portal right there. The first thing I did when I got out here is I came way over here. I think it's still here, actually. I came way over here and I built a little hidey hole, just enough to survive for the night while I scouted out the area and decided what I wanted to do. The painting's still on the wall. The beds are still there. Oop, my original storage still here. But as you can see, I took everything out of it. But I left it here as a memento of where we've been. So immediately after this, I had an idea of what that was going to be. But it was just a concept, really, with a series of habits, things I'd like to do, like the vertical water shaft and circular shapes. The next thing I built was this. This was, for a very long time, Zistau's temporary house. And I mined out the mountain here and basically pushed that wall back about 6 blocks and then replaced the mountain wall with glass. A lot of people say that I like to basically flatten out landscapes and destroy terrain and make everything flat and square, and that's really not the case. In almost all cases, I try to preserve the natural shapes of the landscape, and in some cases I just build above it or below it so that it's not disturbed in any significant way. Or I try to work with it, try to harmonize. I'm gonna get a little too philosophical here. But this turned into my sheep pen. It had a few different variations. There used to be other animal pens before it was just a sheep pen. This is where all the wool for all the pranks came from. And there used to be a piece of cobblestone here, which I think I replaced with dirt. And I never showed this. Let's see, where... There it is, right there. Okay. Now let's make sure that none of these guys fall down there. For a long time, this was my little secret storage area for prank setups, for getting supplies. And I think I actually showed the mushrooms here. But on the other side of here was where Candyland was. All the materials for Candyland was stockpiled. Got all my snow from these snowmen for Candyland, and all the wool was in here, and actually there were signs labeling. There's a little snow left over there. There were signs labeling what they were for. And my bulk wool storage was always down here, and it's all been moved out of here because, oh, not all of it. Never mind. There's still, oh my God, I forgot. Look at all of that. I took most of it over to Good's spawn village plot to use for the Candyland house, or not the Candyland, Good's house prank, the last one. All my leftover wool from here. I guess not all of it. Oh my gosh, look at what we could have done with that. But all the leftover, all my wool was stored there. I figured, hey, might as well show that. Okay, dig that dirt. Dig that dirt. Okay, let's get out of here, and let's make that cobblestone. That was always cobblestone, and I don't think anybody ever found it. Not that it was really a mystery that, like, I was stockpiling, wool for different things, for different pranks and whatnot. Okay, let's head up to the lens. I spent the beginning of the video talking about design tendencies. So what is the lens? This is the lens. Oh, isn't she beautiful and unfinished? The lens is a few things. It's a concept, which is it's based on the lens of a camera, which is why it's called the lens. It's also a sort of a design exercise, I guess, or it was an attempt to integrate all the different things you need in Minecraft, all the functions, into one coherent base. That basically all the functions would be inspired by that the concept for it, which was the lens. And it was also a chance to learn Redstone a little bit better, because I didn't really know much about Redstone at the time. Unfortunately, the 1.5 updates to Redstone broke all of the Redstone, and I never fixed it because I knew the map update was coming, and I was busy working on other projects. But there used to be pressure plates here that when you would step on it, they would open the shutters. So this is the shutter of a camera, and when it takes a picture, the shutter opens and closes. So that was the idea with the pistons, to open and close to reveal functions like furnaces or enchanting rooms up there or storage up there. And we can actually go look at some of the wiring. The wiring is pretty crazy, and I'm kind of proud of it. I'm sure someone like Etho or Doc could have made it more compact, but I think it's pretty compact for what it was. You could probably do it much more compact now with the changes to Redstone in 1.5 and maybe 1.6. Oh, and jump boost. So there were pressure plates, just like the level. Here, let's actually, before I do that, let's look at this. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, but let's look anyway. This is the storage shutter. When you would step on the pressure plates, the shutter would open like a camera lens. Again, pistons here would open here, revealing the hidden chests where all my storage was. And then when you stepped on the pressure plates again, they would close. So the 4 pressure plates would be right there, and they were linked up. Let's see if I can get a good vantage spot. Okay, right here. Yeah. So this was the first pressure plate, and this line runs around there. and it comes all the way here. And so any of the 4 pressure plates you step on would trigger this redstone. So then this redstone would go to this, which is a double extender, which would extend 2 blocks up, and there were 8 of those, 2 for each corner. There's 1 there and 1 there. I got that from CNB Minecraft's 3x3 piston door tutorial, the double extenders, these things. And there's 8 of them here. There's also some on the other levels. But that was broken in the 1.5 update. Here's some wiring of the level below. There was a lot of wiring, and this was a huge challenge for me to learn this much about redstone. And I feel much more confident with redstone. I'm still not nearly as technical as some of the more technical redstoners, but I feel like I have a grasp on it, and I can do more complicated, more refined things in the future. This was a aqueduct system. I feel that it's always a good idea to have some sort of limitation on a design. Sometimes that can be as simple as saying, I'm only going to use these 3 materials. For this, I don't know where I got the idea or how it came to me, but there was only 1 water source in the whole lens, and it's up there, and it provides the drop shaft, which you may remember from earlier in the video, from Cleveland and from Survival Island, etc., etc., and which will probably be in my next house in the 1.6 map in Season 4 of Mindcrack. And the water also spreads that way to a farm, that way to a farm, that way to a farm, and that way to nothing, because that's how you get up here. And then over here, this was more of me trying to do something a little bit more complex with redstone. So this was an automated wheat farm, which has been broken for a while because of the 1.5 update. Also, there were some creeper explosions when we did PvP. We did like a PvP night here one night. Over here is the the reed farm. And I designed this back when you could exploit villagers and get a ton of emeralds by giving them paper. That was the point of this. I never finished this guy. It's mostly done. I bet the wiring still works. Yeah, it does. So you hit that lever, and all of these pistons extend like that. But I never connected them all up. See, oh, there's a Skellers. You actually have to go and trigger it from multiple places. So here's another one right here. This one triggers all of these guys. A lot of pistons. So many pistons. And then all the water flows down here. One of the big design challenges, which I had a lot of fun with and learned a lot from, was the limitation of only having 1 water source. So the water source from that center block comes down here, down here, down here, and then it separates and splits into these different aqueducts to perfectly provide a sheet of water that pushes the reeds all the way down to the bottom. And there's something similar for each farm. You can see over there. This is the pumpkin and melon farm, which has some similar stuff going on. And then out there, I guess ender pearling is probably the easiest thing. Let's go up to the top, actually. I probably have a ladder. Here we go. The aqueducts, for a long time, I wanted to have one of everything. One of each farm. I wanted to have tree farms. I wanted to have animal pens. And I wanted it all to be one big base that all sort of integrated together into one system. That's a complicated problem, and it's not something I solved with the lens. I mean, I think I did a lot, but there is definitely room for improvement. And I got to a certain point with the development of this project where I kind of realized that I had learned enough that I was at the point where I was ready to start over and do it better the next time. And anything I did further would be sort of, not wasted effort, but I felt that I was ready to start over some time ago. And you can tell, that's basically the reason I stopped making the lens is because I was ready to do the next version. These aqueducts were eventually going to lead to tree farms of some kind or other. Oh, and over there you can see the village. We'll get to that in just a minute. But the aqueducts do look cool. So I always try to integrate the sort of visual idea of the lens, which developed from more than just being a camera lens. Oh gosh, it started out as that, but it sort of morphed and evolved into way more than that. And projects always do that. They always go far beyond what you initially imagined to be. It's as much about discovering what's going to happen as it is pre-planning what's going to happen. As much as people think I like to master plan, it's as much about improvising on what you come up with along the way. But yeah, I am very proud of that. That is... Oh, cactus! Cactus! Get him! I'm very proud of this. This is by far the most complicated and largest build I've ever made. It's the most time I've ever put into anything, with possible exception of the Wasteland Village, but I bet I put more time into this. And I talked about all that stuff in the beginning, or I showed some of my earlier houses to show that this is not the final version, and that I have more things. I have the next version in my head already. It's been in there a long time, and I've read in comments of some of the last couple of videos of people feeling sad that I'm going to lose all of this progress. And it is a little sad, but I'm also ready to move on and do the next version of a super house that incorporates all the functions of Minecraft into one large concept, and also has some more complicated redstone. And I've been thinking about it for a long time, and it's going to make this look like a sketch. Hopefully, anyway. Oh, I should show this. This is the only useful thing you can do with watermelon. Yep, that's all it's good for. Unless you want healing potions. It's also good for that. Okay, so I guess we're saying goodbye to the lens. If this is my last Mindcrack Season 3 episode, see you later, lens. It's been fun, but the next version's gonna kick your butt. I'll miss you. I'll miss you, buddy. We spent a lot of time together, falling to our deaths. Okay, so the last thing to look at is my village. Holy cow, did I put more time into this than I thought I would. Let's see if we can get here without blowing anything up. This area used to be a desert. You see the change in the grass? That's a desert. Oh my god. Ouch. Ouch, my forehead. This is a desert biome. You can see right there, desert. Did I kill I think the skeletons died. Good. And this was the source of all the sandstone for the lens. I first removed all the sand in sections, and then the sandstone. And at some point while... Okay, Enderman. At some point... Let me fill up my food bar just in case we get attacked by the Endermans. At some point in digging out the sand and sandstone, I realized that the broken up stone that was left beneath the sand and sandstone looked really cool, and it looked like some kind of wasteland, like a nuclear bomb had gone off. And I thought, wow, that would be cool to have a biome, like a wasteland biome, and this is what it would look like. And then I thought, I don't have a village, and I just made that giant reed farm there, and I want to exploit the mechanic to get a bunch of emeralds. So I'm going to make a village. Why not make it a waste... Does he have thorns on? The hell? Did you see that? I took damage. I thought, why not make a wasteland village? And then I had the idea, why not make a normal village and then blow it up and turn it into a wasteland village? So I took all of the sand and sandstone out of this village and then covered it over with grass and built a normal village. And then this up here is what I've been working on for about 3 days straight. And the materials for this took me about 2 weeks to farm in Pack Rat's Valley Trap, farming TNT. I took a stupid amount of redstone. This is how we're going to turn the village into the wasteland village. All of these house designs, with a few exceptions, were designed by subscribers when I asked for help designing houses. I designed the cheap house here. I designed the medium-sized house here. I designed the movie theater and a few others, but most of them were designed by subscribers. Let's climb up the ladder here. This ladder was originally an experiment. I wanted to mess around with falling damage with different levels of feather falling and protection enchants and diamond gear and stuff. And so I made a ladder with basically these little diving boards at different heights. You can see this has 75 blocks. This is 75 blocks from the old bottom of this ladder, which has been covered over by this swimming pool. This is now the town swimming pool. But this is, I would jump off here and do several tests and see how much damage I would take at 75 blocks with Feather Falling 4, which I don't have right now. Protection 4, you know, whatever. So this right here is a hell of a lot of redstone and dirt and dispensers and repeaters and TNT and fire charges, all of which took me a long time to make. And as soon as I get up here, I'll describe it to you. Okay, and the that keeps going up to the high dive board. So we start over here. I actually should have started below. But all of this is controlled by this redstone wiring right here. And let's start from the beginning. So when I want to film this, the end of the world, doomsday, when I want to film it going off, I'm going to hit a little button right there, which is, it's hard to see, but I'm going to hit a button. And that's going to send signal down these repeaters, which are just in a chain like this. What that does, it gives me time to get to a different vantage point to film it from a different viewpoint, wherever I want to film it from. And I'm going to, Good lets me download the map in a single player version, so I'm going to be able to make copies of it and record it from a variety of perspectives and then edit together into something cool. But anyway, the repeaters are going to go through here, and then a piston is going to push the sand out from here, which is going to knock this redstone torch off. These guys right here are safeguards in case an Enderman just takes the sand out of the pillar and triggers it when I'm not ready. So what's going to happen, there's also a redstone break right there, so it's not going to go off, so I can show you what happens. This is inverted, and when this gets broken, it's going to turn on, and then this repeater is going to turn this back on because it's no longer being inverted, and that's going to send power back to here and invert it again. What it's going to do, it's going to send a short signal through here into here, set up this loop, which is then going to send redstone pulses down the line to all these guys. And I'll show you what it does. Like this. Sends a short pulse. Then we've got a loop, which is just going to cycle through. And I figured out the timing I want. And it'll send a pulse all the way down there every few often. If you want to reset it, I don't have a very good reset or a very advanced reset. You just break the block like that. Okay, and then we put that back, and we can put our safeguards back. These keep that guy inverted in case something happens to that. So what happens then, there's a spine here, which is the first thing I built. And then there are 32 ribs, 16 ribs on either side. And the redstone goes down here quickly as possible. So all of the repeaters are at the default setting. And then once they start going down a rib, they are at a much slower setting. And they go to dispensers, which have 6 fire charges and 1 TNT. There are 128 dispensers, so do the math. Then there are also random TNT just all over the place to fill in the gaps and ensure more of it gets blown up. And each dispenser here is separated by at least 1 repeater on the 3 setting or the 4 setting to slow down the bombardment. This took a long time to make. I think I set up the basic ribs and spine and the dispensers in one day. Then I added all the repeaters and the little spurs here with TNT. I added that in the second day, and then the third day I worked on timings, added even more repeaters, had to... some people donated some materials. Etho donated like 4 stacks of TNT, got some redstone from Generic B and BOO, etc. So it has taken a stupid amount of materials, but I'm ready to set it off. But before we do, I thought the last thing I want to do before Doomsday is I want to look back at my time on Mindcrack, and I want to make a montage, and a montage of montages. So here we go.